They're young.
Yeah!
They're cool.
Excellent!
They're amphibians.
I never asked to look for a can opener.
America's most radical superheroes are now a real live movie.
A fellow checker, eh?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Rated PG. Lean, green, and on the screen March 30th at theaters everywhere.
Cowabunga, everyone, and welcome to Cinema Arcade. This is the podcast about movies, video games, and the sparks that fly when those worlds collide. My name is Steve Guntley. I'm excited to introduce us all to the wild and wacky world of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's right, we are starting a new miniseries, a 3-part retrospective of the various elements of the Turtles Empire franchise. What should we call it? I don't know. It's a juggernaut. The Turtles juggernaut, let's say. But of course, no Turtles crew could be complete without at least 2 other identical looking people wearing colored face bands. So who are those people?
My bandana is red. I am Raphael or Michelangelo or I'm Raphael.
I mean, if you go back in the comics, they were all red.
Leonardo was really cool too, and Donatello's pretty ace.
Okay, all right.
I don't know. I like all the turtles.
Okay. Do you have a name by any chance?
My name is J-Ban. I think that would be an epic turtle name. Just well, what would my let me see.
Yeah, I would just be Thomas Kincaid.
Thomas
the turtle.
Kincaid.
That would be my turtle name. The greatest artist who ever lived, Thomas Kincaid. I want to evoke the sense of terror that one feels when they see a snow-covered cabin in the woods.
Okay.
You can be Norman Rockwell.
I'm not going to be Norman Rockwell. Sam Rockwell was in this movie.
Yeah, you right, sure was. Yeah, little baby Sam Rockwell. Yeah. We'll get to that, but I don't know. I think Rockwell is a pretty damn good turtle name.
I don't know. If I have to think about an artist that I have to be named after, it's going to be a good one.
Rothko. Again, these are pretty good Ninja Turtle names. Like Rockwell, Rothko. These are pretty tough sounding names.
No, they sound like bad guy names. They're like Rocksteady Bebop style names. Those are terrible turtle names.
Maybe this is just a more aggro turtle name. Who else is here with us today?
Hi. I just need to know who's going to pay for this pizza.
You're 2 minutes late, dude.
Yeah, but you just came out of a fucking hole, man. Come on. How was I supposed to know?
Forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza. A philosophy that no longer holds, I believe.
Have you ever not paid full price for pizza?
No, they got rid of that philosophy because I believe the true story behind this is that somebody got into a car accident trying to get to somebody's house within the 30-minute limit, and they died, and so the ensuing lawsuit banned the rest of those kind of promotions.
I was a pizza delivery girl for 6 weeks, and I think then I was telling stories to my father, and I think he fucked up my car, so I had to stop being a pizza delivery girl.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, so you got spared that trauma. You didn't
I would go and people, men would be in their underwear and they'd be like, "Hey, bring it in." I was like, no, thank you.
I'll just drop it through this hole in the sewer grate.
No, you gotta come to the door. I can't come inside.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, I'm 100% sure my dad fucked up the battery to my car and because it only was broken for as long as it took me to quit the job.
Okay. All right. So he's probably, you think he was sabotaging you to keep you out of that?
100% think he was sabotaging me. It's
Once
too bad.
again,
I really liked being a pizza delivery person. It was really awesome. But at that time I didn't have Google Maps. So we had this big book of all the possibly tiny itty bitty streets.
Oh,
where was this at?
In Michigan.
Okay.
And so
smaller town.
Yeah, smaller town, and we would just and so like I got really good at like navigating everywhere, but I was like I can't believe I did that before Google Maps.
It's like going on the knowledge, like when you're training to be like a London cab driver, you have to spend like a year doing what they call the knowledge, just like driving around and like learning the streets before you ever like take on a fare. Yeah, it's basically just that. Well, I am so excited to be talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a franchise that basically defined who I was as a person between the ages of like 8 and 11.
And 40.
And continues to still have a little bit of a residual input, I think. I think there's a little bit of turtle in me to this day. I am curious to ask. I know, Justin, you've lived in a world where turtles are kind of like ubiquitous. Like you've never lived in a world without the Ninja Turtles, but you also never really engaged with it.
Yeah, and we discussed it briefly a little bit a few moments ago, but a few moments before, we've discovered that there was a bit of a gap in like popularity potentially for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that happens to overlap with when I was that age.
Yeah, and we'll probably get into a lot of that stuff as we talk about the next movie, which is a very interesting idea.
Yeah, the mid the late 90s, early 2000s was kind of not a whole lot going on.
Yeah.
And then also when it came back on Fox, which is a channel that I never. It was, for me, I think Disney Channel was 43, Nickelodeon was 50, and Cartoon Network was 51.
So you just lived in those three channels?
And so I lived in that range of like 43 to 51, because then like History Channel was in the middle, and Discovery was in the middle of that as well. So like all of the channels that I interacted with were in that range.
Yeah.
And Fox was like 16 or something. Yeah. And so I never went down that range. It's the amount of times I had to hit the down button on the remote because, again, we didn't have numbers on the remote. We just had a down button and an up button.
What was your equivalent of like a Ninja Turtles, like the media property that you were just like obsessed with?
What toys did you play with?
What were your toys?
I wasn't really a toy person.
Interesting. Okay, so you were like more of a computer game kid.
I played games and read books. But we were fairly low income, and so like I had like Micro Machines and Hot Wheels and Legos.
Okay,
and, that
tracks.
was what I did most of my time with, was building stuff and then playing with cars.
Yeah.
And then reading books, and then eventually slowly shifting into playing computer games.
Okay. Now, J-Ben, you're around my age, so you were probably perfectly aware of the Ninja Turtles phenomenon.
I loved the Turtles.
There
were 4 siblings in my family.
Oh, shit.
There were 4 Ninja Turtles, and we were obsessed.
Yeah.
Obsessed with all the properties, all the toys. We loved the Ninja Turtles. I loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 for the Vanilla Ice content.
Yep.
Like, I was just that. I was like, I think 6 when this movie came out, and I was there for it, and like I loved Raphael, I loved and Michelangelo. Those are the 2 has always been my favorite. But I was always mad because I was a smart kid, so they would always tell me I was Leonardo or Donatello, and I was like, "Fuck you, I'm right."
Oh, okay. I was curious why you seemed like you were holding on to some resentment about being labeled a Donatello, and I'm like, I didn't understand that because not to brag, I always fully embraced my identity as a Donatello.
It wasn't forced upon you.
Nobody could argue that I was a Donatello.
That's a very good point. Of like, you hear all the stories of like everything. Of like, oh, my parents made me play baseball, or like my cousin always made me be the second character of this thing. So I always liked the other character, and so you were always Donatello, and you just.
No, I fought to be wrong.
Yeah.
Raphael. We would argue so much. All 4 of us would just get into, like, we'd tried to reenact the Karate Kid all the time.
Yeah.
And we would beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, was this, were you more of indoor or outdoor kids? Was this like in the yard, or was this?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like, my granted, I just had an older sister, and so it was like, there wasn't a whole lot of chaos going on. But like, if I had like I was really close with a group of cousins, we were not one, we didn't have a lot of indoor space, and two, my parents were like, no, we're not doing this indoors.
Right.
Get out of the house. Once you're in the yard, anything goes. But get out of the house, please.
That was kind of one of the big reasons why a lot of parents hated the Ninja Turtles back in the day, is because we would all make our own makeshift weapons and we would beat the shit out of each other with them, and injuries inevitably prevailed. I distinctly remember washing the dishes when I was like 7 years old and trying to imitate the way that like Leonardo tests if his knife is sharp. You know, like it looks like he's running his finger up and down the blade. So I did that, and it just like slit my finger wide open.
Oh, no.
And I'm just like, what's happening? Oh God, it's not like the cartoon. Yeah, I did a lot of hand trauma to myself based on cartoons. I also my dad had this like rubber mallet.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of a Bugs Bunny mallet, so I like whacked my hand with it, and it hurt. It's very thick rubber, and it hurts a lot. It's okay. It's
Steve.
okay. I was 27.
And you identified as Donatello?
Yes. I was 3 or 4. I was very young. I was figuring out what hurt or not. I also grabbed the tailpipe of a motorcycle that was running.
When I was around that age, I was, obviously short, and I walked up to
Well, yeah, because you're a kid. Okay.
Yeah, because I was 4.
Okay. I'm like, you're a normal height. What are you doing?
You could have been a 5'4"
I don't know if my mom would have been okay with that one happening, but I walked up to a table, dresser, something up against the wall, and there's just a cable hanging from it, and I'm like, I want to see where this goes, and I just kept pulling on it and pulling on it and pulling on it until the iron fell off and scarred my foot because it landed on my foot.
Oh, fun.
Because my mom was prepping the iron to do some ironing, and it was the ironing board that I was fucking with.
And it was because you watched that cartoon Ironing Board Man.
A friend of ours has a baby.
Okay.
And every time I go over there, I'm like, everything is safe, of course, but I just can't help but feel like it's a Final Destination moment.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, what if the Lego that is on the counter ends up in the baby's mouth?
It falls on this air freshener.
Reach it up to get it. It's just like, oh my God, like, what if, like, I feel like having children is in your life is like having this Final Destination fear moment. And it wouldn't be interesting if Final Destination was created by parents.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's like a we've been rewatching those movies lately, and like those are just straight up hypochondriacs.
Yeah, I can't watch them.
Yeah, they were dreamed up by the absolute like panic attack having people like myself, and that's why I find them fun and cathartic, because it's like, oh yeah, this looks really stupid when it happens.
Did you see the newest one?
I love the newest one. Bloodlines is so fucking good. It's the best one.
The best one?
It's far and away the best one. It's so good. I loved Bloodlines. You're gonna have it. I think it's coming to HBO Max like in days.
Okay, well then I'll watch it on HBO Max, because like I've always been a fan of the Final Destination series.
Yeah, they're so fun, and
so fun.
6 is kind of the perfection of the formula. They really figured out. But we'll get to that. I wish there was a Final Destination.
There's no Final Destination.
There is The Incredible Machine. We can play that. Did you have to play that in computer lab in school?
No, I did not.
I just found it on GOG recently and downloaded it again. I'm like, oh shit, I remember how to do all of these. It's make your own like Rube Goldberg machine. It's great.
Oh.
Anyway, let's talk
Final
about
Destination.
That is a bit, yeah. Let's talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie, which was released March 30th, 1990. It's directed by Steve Barron. It's written by Todd Langdon and Bobby Herbeck. And it stars Judith Hoag, Elias Koteas, Jay Patterson, Michael Turney, Raymond Serra, James Sato, Sam Rockwell. And then the in-suit performers for the Turtles are Leif Tilden, Michelin Sisti, Josh Pace, and David Foreman. And the voices are Corey Feldman, Brian Tochi, Robbie Rist, Josh Pace again, and Kevin Clash. So Josh Pace, who plays Raphael, is the only one who does both the voice and the body in that movie.
Oh, wow.
And still a working actor today. Very good actor. Now, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were the creation of Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird, two comic book writers from New England who were working in relative obscurity in the mid-1980s. And by relative obscurity, I mean they worked in a comic book shop and had never published anything. They were really trying to get their stuff off the ground, but it was really hard. They founded a little indie comic label called Mirage Studios, and they were struggling to make inroads in the comic scene. So one day, the two challenged each other to make each other laugh with a doodle. So one of the winning pick was a rough doodle of a turtle wearing a bandana and holding a ninja weapon. One of the two guys wrote the words Ninja Turtle over it, and eventually they added the Teenage Mutant in there. They thought it was so funny and silly and stupid that they decided to run with it. They put together the final name, of course, was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They started developing their comic, which in its earliest iteration was really dark and really violent. Did you ever read any of those early ones?
Not that I remember, but I do remember it being very dark.
I was not allowed to have them. I brought some home from school one day because a kid loaned them to me, and my mom saw how gory they were, and she's like, "Oh, you're not allowed to read this. No, this is like," and they swear. Like, yeah, it's like,
yeah. I mean, that was
the
one
swearing
thing that I was
upset her
surprised
more.
by. Was just going into this movie and then the hells, the dams, and I think they even say bitchin' at one point.
I mean, it's very gritty, like, for the time, which was the style for comic books at the time, right? Like, The Dark Knight Rises had come out, and like Frank Miller was doing a lot of his stuff, and so comics were taking a darker, edgier tone in general, and so this felt like the way to kind of break it out. Originally, this comic book series, I don't know if you knew this, J-Ben, it was a parody of Daredevil.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, because the Daredevil's enemy at the time in the comic books was the Hand, a ninja clan called the Hand. So, of course, the ninja clan here is called the Foot.
It's Donatello that has the staff, right?
Yeah. Based kind of on the stick for a Daredevil. So the duo snagged a $1,000 loan from Kevin Eastman's uncle, and with that money, they launched the first print of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 in May of 1984. And the term overnight success is used kind of liberally, I think, and it kind of discounts the amount of work that people are doing behind the scenes. But this was pretty close to an overnight success. With that first issue, they sold 15,000 copies, or they sold 3,000 copies. And by the time the second issue came out, they had 15,000 pre-orders.
That's amazing.
So it was like going like crazy.
Especially, and it's absurd because this is basically pre-internet.
It's pre-internet. It's like upstate New York. It's like it's just kind of a loose collaboration of comic book fans and Wizard readers. Yeah, if you read Wizard magazine, you probably would have seen a footage of that.
I haven't thought about Wizard magazine in forever.
Wizard ruled.
Oh God, I remember getting that with my siblings, and we'd all fight over who got to read it first.
I'm willing to bet it still exists in some form, but yeah, I don't know if there's a print edition of Wizard anymore. But it ruled. Within a year, Eastman and Laird began selling merchandise for their products, including trade paperbacks of their comics, miniature figures, and board games. And that merchandising would prove to be really, really essential to the success of their brand. So by 1987, this thing was already massively huge, and they were approached to produce a 5-episode run of an animated TV show, which proved to be so popular that it spun off into a TV series that ran for 9 seasons on Saturday morning.
So good.
Unmissable if you were around that age. It, of course, is the 1987 show responsible for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme song, which is an instant earworm. Like the
classic.
That's all I need to say is that, and you're probably singing it in your head. Do you know who wrote that? Is that a random bit of trivia? Chuck Lorre, the future creator of Big Bang Theory and Two and a Half Men. He was a jingle writer early in his career, and he wrote the theme song to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Well done.
Probably still making money off of that.
Of course he's still making money off of that.
Yeah, good for him. The real coup, of course, came in 1988 when Eastman and Laird partnered with Playmates Toys for the first line of action figures, and these toys quickly became among the best-selling toys of the 1980s and among the best-selling toys of all time. I was obsessed with these action figures. I had every one that I could get my hands on every birthday. I was only asking for more turtle stuff. My biggest Christmas get of all time is still the Technodrome playset. A huge playset of Shredder's Fortress that you could open up, and there's a little jail cell inside. There's a big eyeball that rolls down and takes people out. In retrospect, it's pretty minimalist and doesn't really actually do a whole lot compared to what toys would do within the next 5 years. But that felt like the most luxurious item of all time when I got that Technodrome.
Now, here's the question. Where are they now?
Mostly burned. I got into a weird phase in high school where I discovered that my magnifying glass could melt holes into things. So I burned a lot of my Ninja Turtles. I feel guilty about it now, but they had fallen into a disrepair. It was a little bit of that. To be clear, I was creating dramas. I was like really into spy stuff at the time, so he was all like the Goldfinger laser thing, you know. Like, so I was really into James Bond.
No, Mr. Bond. No, I expect you to die.
No, Mr.
Melt.
Donatello, I expect you to die. I'm gonna cut right through your non-existent turtle crotch.
Was there a single toy that you couldn't stand to burn, or did you just burn them all and you're like burn baby burn phase?
I think I kind of burned them all, or like some of them into like we got this really insane like deep mud in our property, and like so after it rained, so like I had these whole scenarios with like quicksand. Some of them are probably still interred like in some random lot in Colorado.
Oh.
So yeah, they're all out there. Like by that point, they had been very, very well loved. They'd been played with until they were almost falling apart. All the accessories were long gone. You know how kids play with stuff. You know?
I still remember the first time I was like playing with my cars, and like I broke one intentionally as like it's like the story, and then I like cried later because I'm like, now it's broken forever.
Yeah.
That was a Corvette.
Oh shit.
And so
are you gonna get a Corvette? You've been talking about it.
I'm approved. I just don't know if I want to do it because it's also
you need
in
at least
Houston,
another 10 years on you,
and I don't want to drive to Houston to buy a car.
Fair. Because how will you get back?
Yeah,
you can't drive two cars at once.
Well, I would sell one of them. I would trade one in.
You're not even gonna try to drive two cars at once?
No.
You're not even gonna take me up on this challenge?
No.
All right. Fine.
But yeah, no, I couldn't do, and I think that's what drew me towards Legos was like I could build something and then fucking throw it at the wall or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like I can just build it again.
Yeah.
Whereas like everything else is like you break it once, it's broken. Legos like it's hard to permanently break a Lego, especially as a child.
There is kind of a fan fiction-y element of like playing with action figures of a really like established pre-existing property, you know? Because like I was not pretending that like Raphael or Donatello were anybody other than who they were, you know?
Yeah.
But I was just putting them off into their own adventures. And hey, maybe they fight the guys from my Jurassic Park set or my Terminator 2 set. Like I had all the different figures from those guys. I had some real Ghostbusters. Yeah. I was an action figure kid.
You
surprising no one.
Strike me as a fucking nerd. So
yeah, well, I became a Lego adult. That's really cool. That's a cool thing to be. So yeah, the toys were a phenomenon. They were blowing up, and basically the Turtles were just absolutely dominating pop culture at this time. And so with all of the success, a feature-length movie.
What I think we have to say is that one of the reasons they dominated at the time was both the comics and the TV series were fucking boss.
They were good.
Were genuinely good. And like the toys were fun, but like there's so much stories behind them, and like creating this world where you have four very distinct characters that are your protagonists, and that children can be like, I'm so and so, I'm so and so, and it's a genius bit of storytelling. And like we were talking earlier about the if you're attracted to women awakening of April O'Neil being like, oh my god, you're the hottest cartoon I've ever seen in my entire life.
I mean, they really struck on like a formula that I think a lot of other people have hit on, which is like if you have a group of four like distinctive personalities that you can graft yourself and your friends on, it's always going to endure. You know, like it's the same reason of Sex in the City. I'm
Powerpuff
Miranda.
Girls.
Yeah, exactly.
There's so many, too many to count. Though.
Yeah, but there's a great dynamic. Like if you can identify these tropes easily, identify these types, right? Like the theme song sums it up. Leonardo's the leader, Michelangelo's the party dude, Raphael is like cool but rude, and Donatello does machines. That's all we need to know about these characters. Like we all know, like, all right, so who do we think in our lives is the Raphael? Who's cool but rude?
It's really funny because like when I was a kid, I had anger issues. I'm an adult now, so like there's a world of difference between being a child with anger issues and being an adult with anger issues, because you have to grow out of that, otherwise you're an asshole. And so like I just loved I loved how Raphael took no shit from anybody. And being like one of the youngest of four, like I just didn't want to take shit from anybody, so I felt really inspired by Raphael. But I definitely like Michelangelo has definitely been like the men I've dated.
Sure. Makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. Justin, did any of these archetypes like grab you? I mean, I feel like you're kind of a Donatello like me.
Look, I have a career based on needing to fix any computer problem I had in order to play video games.
You do machines.
I mostly self-taught.
Yeah.
And just from tinkering with stuff, have I learned how to now manage enterprise environments.
So you are a.
I think I have to be the Donatello.
You just have to be a Donatello. Yeah. Yeah, I think, J-Ban, you're a Leo now. I think you were a Raph then. I think you're a Leo now.
Yeah, I'm a Leo.
You've aged well into a Leo.
Yeah.
So I think Ailish has to be our Raphael. Yeah, I think
like
she's
a
our
wine.
Chaos Raphael. And then Rivet is Michelangelo. Rivet, my dog, is Michelangelo. So, of course, with...
Wait.
Oh, yes.
One day I hope to be a Splinter.
You're going to age absolutely into a Splinter.
I really hope to be a Splinter
if
one
you
day.
don't divert into a Shredder, which is kind of 50-50 at this point.
But I don't think I'll divert into a Shredder because I've mastered my Raphael anger issues. But
You're telling me you have not Googled pauldrons made of knives. You've never once Googled armor made of knives. Female fit.
I think I do love van braces.
You're not answering the
van
questions.
Van braces with knives.
Yeah. What do you call the shin ones? I forget. Yeah.
Shredder is super cool, but he's also super bad. But like Splinter is so, like he saw 4 baby turtles and he was like, I'm going to mentor you, baby turtles. He was a single dad.
Yeah.
And he's just like raising
easy.
4 infants on his own, and 4 very wildly different infants on his own.
And he has patience
like my
and
grandma.
discipline, and he still lets them be
Is
themselves.
your mom Splinter or your grandma Splinter?
Probably.
So your mom is Shredder.
She had 4 kids, raised 4 kids, and then adopted 4 kids that were her kids. So her grandkids, she adopted 4 of them herself, then filed for divorce, and then rose the 4 grandkids herself with the help of my mother.
Do you think your grandma would understand if he texted me or to say, "Hey, you're the best Splinter there ever was"?
Yeah.
I feel like one of my cousins was a teenage...
Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Was it teenager?
No,
She probably will because his grandma's our age. Yeah, I'm assuming.
No, because like, the more than I think about it, that cousin was a Power Rangers kid.
And you could be one or the other. We covered this in our Power Rangers episode. You could be one or the other. I was a Ninja Turtles kid. I picked my camp. All right, a little bit about this movie. Obviously,
How far into the recording are we?
yeah, we're doing great. Now, obviously, with all the attention around Turtles at the time, a movie seemed inevitable, and yet people were a little more reluctant to invest on this than they should.
They were assholes. They were so stupid.
They dropped the ball on this. The big reasons that they were nervous were there were twofold. One of them was Masters of the Universe, the He-Man movie that did not do well. The other was Garbage Pail Kids, the movie about the Garbage Pail Kids that is one of the most horrible movies ever made.
Garbage Pail Kid.
Garbage Pail Kids were a set of trading cards that came out that made fun of the Cabbage Patch Kids. So it was basically just redrawings of the Cabbage Patch Kids with like really gross names.
And they thought that making a movie of this was a good idea?
They sure did. Watch it sometime if you want to feel like you're going insane. But either way, those two were huge money losers. So it was clear that like there was not necessarily a straight line between best-selling toy and best-selling movie. So they shopped it around.
Masters of the Universe is also not good.
It's not good.
Not
It takes
good.
place mostly in a mall. It's like they made a huge mistake there. But it gave the world Courtney Cox and Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella. Very fun as Skeletor in that. But they shopped the idea to every major studio in Hollywood and were universally rejected. So luckily, they found a production partner in New Line Cinema. We recently talked about them as the studio behind Lord of the Rings. But in the late 80s, early 90s, New Line had a very different reputation. By the time Lord of the Rings came out, they were basically like a major studio. Around this time, they're still mostly known for like putting out B movies or very strange like art house foreign films. And really their most significant contribution to the pop culture canon at this point was Nightmare on Elm Street. Of course, New Line is referred to often as the house that Freddy built because that was their first huge success. So the film was going to cost about $15 million, which was a little steep for New Line at the time, and so they found secondary funding from a Chinese company called Golden Harvest, which is best known for releasing a lot of like early kung fu films. So you've probably, if you're into kung fu films, you've probably seen a lot of Golden Harvest films. Now to direct, I don't know if you know who this that this was the director of this. They got a music video director named Steve Barron, perhaps best known for maybe directing the greatest music video of all time. Aha's "Take on Me" music
so
video,
good.
the hand-drawn animated like
What?
It's a
Oh
pretty
my
iconic
God.
video. We'll show it to you after because it's pretty iconic. And so that was a pretty good get to get him. And realizing the Turtles in live action format was going to be the biggest challenge, so of course they approached the best in the business, Jim Henson's Creature Workshop, which means the Turtles are involved in Ailish's bizarre cuck chair question.
Oh wow, you never said that.
Yeah, they're involved.
Well,
So
now I'm
and
gonna have to-
Splinter. So you have to reassess your list.
I'll reassess. I'll reassess in the future.
but
But they have to be adult. They can't be teenage anymore.
no, yeah. Splinter's an old man. I'm just saying. Yeah.
I earlier, if anybody noticed me go, oh God, in the middle of you talking.
Oh,
Steve.
sorry, I didn't
It's
hear.
no. It's because I had looked up Sam Rockwell in this movie and saw him and was like, oh my God, he looks so different. Like he's like so young. But when I Googled Sam Rockwell Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the next suggested word was Muppets.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
I mean, they are technically Muppets. Yeah.
Sam Rockwell looks like a Muppet.
This must be his first role in anything. He's playing like a greaser punk, and he's kind of pops up in a few scenes. But it was because I saw him in this movie that I recognized him later, like when his career started blowing up. I'm like, oh, the villain in Charlie's Angels is totally that punk from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I have like the opposite of that because I was introduced to him by Iron Man 2.
Oh,
so
sure.
now ever since then, I just see him as the guy from Iron
I'm
Man 2.
introduced to him in various rom-coms of varying quality. He's in some very good sleeper hit rom-coms.
Yeah, Green Mile he was in. He was like crazy in
Green
that.
Mile?
He's like the psycho guy who they eventually just like shoot in the head.
He also dances, which I
dances and
always
everything.
admire.
Yeah, Ailish is a big fan of him dancing all of a sudden because she's like, when is he gonna dance? Like she saw him in this movie and she's like, when is he dancing? Like, he never dances.
Wait till the second movie.
Now the
This was
turtle
his second role. He was in Clown House, which I've never heard of, which was
Clown
a
House.
slasher film.
Yeah, okay,
right
okay.
The year before.
Yeah.
Um,
But he's got to be like 19.
That movie
20.
had a budget of $200,000, and
I'm sure I'll cover it on my other podcast at some
It
point.
was apparently-
Sounds like my deal.
there was some controversy of some things happening, and it was pulled from.
Wait, is this Victor Salva? Is it the director Victor Salva?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I always forget the name of this movie. Clown House. Ooh, boy. Okay. Victor Salva was arrested for sexually assaulting one of the children on the set of this movie.
Oh, fuck.
And after he got out of jail, he got to direct like 12 more movies, including
Such bullshit.
some hits. Powder, Jeepers Creepers, the whole trilogy.
Holy
yeah,
shit.
those
We
are
talked
all
about
Victor
Jeepers
Salva.
Creepers.
Yeah. So if you're gonna watch any of those movies, please steal those movies. Don't make
Yeah,
because
fuck
he's
that
kind of like
guy.
an unrepentant pedophile. Like to this day, he sucks. But not talking about that anymore. Let's talk about the Turtles because I think the suits that they come up with for this movie are pretty incredible. They use like this cutting edge like technology to like remote control the facial movements on the masks that the stunt performers were wearing. The stunt performers in this had to do all of this kung fu in these suits, which weighed up to 80 additional pounds. So when you see them doing like front flips, back flips, like all of these kung
they
fu martial
assisted?
arts, they are not assisted.
not.
They are just doing
They're
these
just
martial arts.
badass motherfuckers.
I think they might have sped the film up a little bit to compensate for like some of the sluggishness, but
they
like
definitely the frame rate of them is usually different
Yeah.
than the rest.
But it was dangerous for them to be in these suits. They had to be like taken out of them every few minutes so they didn't suffocate.
Insane. Like, I would have assumed they would have had a wire to assist.
No.
God damn.
Not at that time.
No.
But I think honestly, I don't think the Turtles have ever looked better than in this movie.
They look fantastic. Yeah, truly. Like for whatever reason, the budgets for the next two movies kept getting slashed, and I don't think Jim Henson Studios is involved in the next 2 or 3. So this is where they look the best. Lots of people point out that, like, yeah, there are moments where you can see like eyeballs inside the mouths when they laugh or whatever, but like whatever, they're very minimal moments, and for the most part, like, you just kind of buy these turtles. You just buy it. They're in this world. They look pretty good. Like, the lip syncing isn't always perfect, but like when you kind of consider how they're accomplishing this and on how small of a budget they're accomplishing this, it looks phenomenal.
1990.
It was all grueling work, but it would pay off. So when this film debuted, this was the single highest opening weekend for an independent film ever. All right, this was technically called an independent film.
Mad Max, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Blair Witch.
Yeah, and that's insane. And this would become the second highest opening weekend of all time, behind only Batman, which is crazy. It would gross more than $200 million worldwide on that $15 million budget, and that's not including VHS sales. VHS tapes were distributed by this tiny little indie label called Family Home Entertainment. So if you owned this tape, you saw that little FHE logo on the spine. And it is one of the best-selling VHS tapes of all time. Everybody had it. You had this?
Yeah.
Did you have of course 100%. I had this. Yeah. Yeah, everybody had this VHS tape. And even critics were, like, fairly kind, a little dismissive, but, like, even Roger Ebert, who, like, really does not like these kind of, like, fad things like this, like, he famously hates video games and, like, all of this, he called it the best Ninja Turtles movie possible, which is a little condescending, but I think it's also acknowledging that, like, yeah, there's some craft here. There's, like, some things going into this that kind of make it worthwhile.
I have we're going to pause for a second.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Ebert?
He's one of my heroes. Roger Ebert is full on one of my heroes.
Really?
I loved that guy. I was, like, so obsessed with his writing.
I get very I have issues with movie critics.
Okay.
And even, like, doing this podcast, I sometimes have issues when I dislike something, because there's nothing that pisses me off more than listening to a podcast talking about a movie that I love that they dislike.
Yeah.
Like, unless they have eloquence out their ass. And I do, like, I feel like I've, like, and this is a problem, like, when the one year I was a press for South by Southwest, I find it very difficult to write negatively about movies because it takes so much for them to get made. Like, I find it so grating to find someone talking shit about a movie unless it's clearly shit in a fun way. You know what I mean?
Well, so the reason I became a journalist, I am a journalist for people who don't listen to the show regularly. We don't really talk about our jobs much, but yeah, I'm a journalist. The reason I was drawn to that initially is because for a good, like, 10-year period, I wanted to be a film critic. That is all I cared about. I worked really hard on it, and I've worked as a film critic in various capacities. But so Roger Ebert was a huge deal for me. And I can tell you that, like, he is not one of those who is going to dog on a movie for no good reason. Like, I agree with you. I hate, like, the hacky critic shit of just, like, jumping on a bandwagon or, like, piling on a movie or just being kind of needlessly cruel just because it's, like, fun to write that way. Roger Ebert, for the most part, avoided that. I think the only time he ever really broke out those knives is if he found a movie morally reprehensible or just, like, so stupid that it was, like, inviting.
I think it's because I love a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
And he found a lot of horror movies reprehensible.
Look, we disagree on a lot of different things as well, but he's also, like, I briefly had a podcast before this one called Roger's List, where we were going through and watching every single movie on his great movies list. And that list is such a valuable resource.
Yeah.
Like, that's going beyond just what you'll find on, like, the AFI stuff. There's a lot of really cool, like, smaller indie films or foreign films or just things you would never think to seek out. And so I was a big fan of that. I've always been a big fan about the way he kind of writes himself into his reviews, like, and takes it, he shifted the framework in a very serious way. So I'm a huge fan of Roger Ebert.
Maybe I might, because I know there was a book. I was listening to a podcast, and I know a book came out about Ebert relatively recently.
Yeah, I have it. I can let you borrow it. Yeah.
Maybe I need to revisit. But I do have this weakness, for I find movies to be a bit magical, and I will say there are movies I dislike. But there are only 2 movies that I hate.
What are the 2?
Well, one is Sunshine, and
that's
Danny
a wild
and I
thing.
love Danny Boyle.
I really like that
I
movie.
love Danny Boyle, but I hated that movie.
Interesting.
And
Wow.
I can't remember the other one because it was just some random one, but it was just and there's a lot of movies that make me mad, but I definitely I don't know, maybe it's also not to get into gender dynamics, but sometimes as a woman you're taught not to be mean, and so I do wonder how much that is me being nice versus me being acclimatized to being nice.
Oh man, read some Pauline Kael sometime. Oh man, Pauline Kael was I think the character in Ratatouille, the food critic, is loosely based on Pauline Kael, even though she never was a food critic, but she was so impossible to please, and it's it was so satisfying when she liked something, but she was such a poison pen as well. So
Was she a film critic?
she was kind of the precursor to Roger Ebert. We are on a whole different tangent here. I should bring it back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, a movie that Roger Ebert thought was okay.
Well, so it's interesting that Sally Menke was the first editor for this, and then they fired her.
Crazy.
As famously Quentin Tarantino's editor.
Yeah, one of the best in the business.
I just I can't believe that there must, out there in the world, maybe there might be a Menke cut.
Yeah, release the Menke cut. Yeah.
Of the Turtles.
At the end, everybody ends up dead.
Well, everyone swears more. There's more feet shots.
Yeah, there's way more feet. She's enabling him.
Wouldn't it be funny if Tarantino's not the feet person?
It's Sally
it's
Menke.
Sally Menke.
He's I've just been really into feet this whole time. Yeah. Quentin's just a good guy taking the fall on that one. Yeah.
He's just I don't know why you always request these shots, but...
This is okay. So to talk about this movie a little bit, this is a movie I absolutely need to be aware of my nostalgia glasses for, because obviously it's a formative movie for me at this early time. I was so excited to see it. Even taking off those nostalgia glasses, having some perspective, looking kind of back at how the franchise has evolved over the years, I still think this is a pretty damn solid movie.
It's a great movie.
I think it's really good, right?
It honestly, and going through it, there's some really funny things. I thought it was really funny that they put Casey Jones in this movie, because I honestly think this movie could live without Casey Jones, but they're hey, let's have some sort of hot chemistry between Casey Jones and April O'Neil.
Elias Koteas, Canadian actor, amazing, intense character actor, almost exclusively bald in everything else, but I knew him from this movie with his long, flowing, luxurious hockey player locks. I think Elias Koteas is awesome. This character is great. I love.
It's really fun because he's a really fun character.
He and April have chemistry.
They do have
chemistry.
chemistry.
A hot thing going on.
They do, but it's really funny because I'm just but it's so funny when you open up and the way the turtles are established, and Raphael is established as the moody as fuck one.
Yeah,
and they're teenagers, and Splinter is always rolling his eyes, and it's such a fun setup, and it's just it lures you into this world, and you're I don't, and it does the classic early 90s recap for people who've never heard of the Turtles before.
Totally. You get the little montage of Splinter telling the story over the theme music, and we get some cute little animatronics, but yeah, they don't waste too much time on it. I think the filmmakers are all right, look, we're making a Ninja Turtles movie, the people who are going to see this know what this is. We don't need to waste too much time on this.
It's also really funny because a lot of people are oh, it's they have a bad boys club with all these stolen goods. There are girls. There are quite a few girls in that bad boys club.
Yeah, there are.
And I thought it was really funny because it's how times have changed, because petty crime has changed so much since the digitalization of money. Yeah. Because nowadays, if you steal a wallet, you might get what, $20?
And it'll be air tagged, people will know exactly. Yeah, nobody carries cash anymore, so you're not really.
There's such a smaller market for petty crime. It's so wild.
And ninja petty crime has almost entirely disappeared.
Oh my god, the ninjas.
Well, no, you just don't see it.
Oh, that's true. Damn it. Yeah, you're right. Except they're being like broad daylight ninjas. Like the black suits are not concealing
It's
anything.
always so funny. I always think it's really funny because they do this in like Victorian London pictures as well, where they have the sneak thief going around and he's like handing off the stolen goods from like 6 or 7 different people.
Yeah.
It wasn't that complicated.
We're kind of on the tail.
It was just a guy's wallet, man. Just one handoff and you should be good.
And then, I mean, this is kind of the tail end of when you can do these like New York is a crime-filled cesspool kind of movies, you know, because within the next few years, New York changes into like a very different city than it was throughout the 70s and 80s when, you know, so many Charles Bronson movies were made about how shitty it was in New York in the 1990s or 1980s.
The Warriors as well.
The Warriors we just talked about. Yeah, exactly. Like it was actually dangerous for them to be shooting that movie.
Yeah, I loved when they are at the
Warriors come
hideout?
out to play. Sorry, I had to do it.
They're at the bad boys hideout, and it's just
Which looks like the coolest fucking place in the world.
It looks like the coolest fucking place in the world. How does this?
Like a Dave and Buster's.
Yeah, it's like the criminal Dave
Except
and
you're allowed to
Buster's.
smoke in there.
How does this pass by notice?
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's this crazy warehouse that's probably now like the hottest club in
I've lived
Brooklyn.
in cities where they've had warehouses where I really wanted to do urban exploring, but I knew criminals or like unhoused people were living in there, so I didn't go in there.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, they're just like really cool random, like now they're like really fancy apartments, but they were beautiful Victorian factories in Aberdeen, Scotland.
Oh,
and they
yeah.
were so gorgeous, and I was like, oh, I really want to go take pictures in there. I think I might end up dead.
Yeah.
So I don't, but at the same time, I feel like there's definitely factories like all over the place that can just be used for covert criminal hangouts.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably all gentrified
Not in Austin, though.
now. Maybe not.
Yeah, down by Seaholm.
Yeah, but like this is like, you look at this and it's like, this is like the 90s version of like Pinocchio's Pleasure Island, right? This is where you go. This is a juvenile delinquent's paradise that all these kids are living in. And, you know, if they're, when they get bored playing Narc on the arcade, they're going to go learn how to be a ninja.
I might have missed this, but where does Shredder get his due in all of this?
Shredder, well, I mean, you know, this is clearly the gang that he has built for himself,
Right.
you know, like
But like, what is he in it for?
crime reasons.
They're just doing crime for the sake of doing crime. And
Yeah,
not for the
look,
money.
it's not complicated.
Okay.
He's a bad guy. He does bad guy
Because it's
things.
like, I feel like stealing a bunch of stuff just to have this sweet teenager hangout is not
Little sus.
necessarily.
He's building an army and he's luring these children in through
True.
fun and games.
They're child soldiers. Like this is like, we didn't really have the word for that in the early 90s, but they were
So,
child soldiers.
As I was watching this, I was like, okay, so these children become the Foot.
Yeah.
The Foot get their ass handed to them over and over
Constantly.
again. So I can't help feel a little like on this watching, being 40, watching this movie, being all like, oh, I bet there's a 15-year-old kid in there getting his ass kicked.
But at least it's like 16-year-old turtles doing the ass kicking. Like, it's not that big of a differential.
Or Casey Jones killing them.
Yeah, Casey Jones. So in the comic book, Casey Jones straight up murders people. Like he is kind of the version of the Daredevil in that, except they take him to the extreme. You know, they pare him down a lot.
No, Punisher.
Punisher, excuse
Yeah,
me,
I would say
Punisher. Yeah,
Punisher.
yeah. I'm sorry. So yeah, they're kind of taking him to that extreme. And like, yeah, you're right. Exactly. His role in this movie is still a little uncertain. He's a local weirdo who just kind of has been spying on them and then just kind of decides to glom himself onto it. But you don't really care because you love what he brings to the equation.
He has such fun energy. Like I do
Fun
think
energy.
the interaction between him and Raphael, where he's like they're kicking each other's asses. And one of my favorite shots of the whole thing is when Raphael gets like hit upside the head by the hockey stick.
Yeah.
And he flies out backwards and he ends up in a trash bin.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, how did they shoot that? Because it couldn't be the person going in the trash bin. I don't know how they did it, but I really loved that shot.
It was cool. And weirdly, like, watching it as in my 40s, my favorite part of the movie was the stretch where they're just at the farmhouse, like, chilling out.
Yeah.
Like, that's so fun to me. They're all finding their dynamics. Like, Casey and Donatello have this, like,
April
insult
O'Neil
game.
rich?
No, I mean she clearly inherited like this farmhouse and this antique store from her uncle
and a
or
farmhouse.
something. April O'Neil is hot as all hell.
I don't know.
I love this version.
I don't think I think Casey Jones is hotter than April O'Neil in this.
Oh man, I love a freckle face. Judith Hogue. This is the one and only time she plays this character. She does not come back.
Nothing for me.
I love the freckles. I love the the suggestive massage that Casey has given her later in the movie. It's like, oh boy, come on. You're just trying to incite early puberty right now. That's what you're doing.
That was the one thing that I was like, I just personally don't find the guy who played Casey Jones attractive in this.
Interesting.
Just like,
He's got like long hair and he's all like he's got like a good jawline.
He kind of looks most of the time. He kind of looks like Christopher Maloney from SVU. Yeah,
he does, and Christopher Maloney is hot.
He's such a hottie.
Oh my god, he's super hot.
But Elias Koteas has.
Did you see that recently? Like Christopher Maloney like pretended to almost kiss Marissa Hargitay on like an award show, and like
was that is that I've literally never seen a second of that show.
You've never seen Law and Order?
I've never seen a single episode
even
of Law and Order.
At like a doctor's office.
This is one of my biggest gaps, my biggest pop culture gaps. Period. I have never seen a single episode of Law and Order, any version. But I know Chris Maloney from like Wet Hot American Summer and Oz and stuff like that. And Elias Koteas
Wet Hot American Summer is one of my favorite movies
mine too.
ever the world.
Mine too. He's so funny in that.
Yeah, I grew up on Law and Order. So
okay.
Well, because it was on for like 2 hours from the moment I got home until after dinner. So it was like usually I was doing homework at the dinner table while Law and Order was playing in the living room.
Yeah.
So
I've mentioned my Law and Order lapse to previous guests of the show, Diana Goodman, and it kind of like melted her brain. Like she's a huge Law and Order stan, and like so.
Honestly, I think I have watched many Law and Order, but you watch 4 episodes of like regular Law and Order and Law and Order SVU, then you got the gist.
You got the gist. Yeah. I'm sure that's kind of the case.
And then it's like the only twist that's going to happen is when they're like, we got the guy, and you look at the clock and you're like,
yeah,
there's too much time left. You don't have the guy.
Yeah,
we're going to find something out here.
Fair.
But
to take it back to Turtles,
this movie is so good, and like
it's so fun,
and I love the set pieces of the big fights with the. Because like honestly, I've always been a big fan of kung fu, and like the fact that they're doing karate in or martial arts in these giant rubber suits with making snide comments with appropriate facial interactions. It's just like it's a technological wonder.
It's really impressive, especially for the small budget that they're pulling off. I also love that like. The cartoon show was so huge at this time, you can understand they were probably under a lot of pressure to just make a movie version of the cartoon show with that kind of energy and that kind of vibe. And they didn't go for that. This has kind of like, I'm not going to be so highfalutin to say neo-noir in terms of the Ninja Turtles movie, but it's got a little bit of a edge to it. It's got a little bit of a grittier side to it. There definitely are some like wacky comedic moments.
Let's call it un petit noir.
Un petit noir.
A smidgen.
Un petit. Yeah, just a little bit of noir. But there's you have a little bit of grit to it that you don't really have in any of the rest of the series.
Especially the Leonardo's the red one.
Leonardo's the blue one. Raphael's the red one.
Raphael's the red one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When he goes out in his trench coat and hat, it's like very noir.
Very bogey. Yeah, absolutely. I love that he's seen critters as well. That's very funny.
This also comes into a subgenre, which I love, which is hidden hero vigilantes in New York City that are also sort of monsters.
Yeah.
Like fucking gargoyles.
Gargoyles. You were a big Gargoyles fan. Yeah.
Just huge.
Yeah.
Huge gargoyle fans. I would set my alarm to get up early every week to watch Gargoyles.
Yeah, no, they were good.
This is like when I was like 7 years old. I was just like...
And Gargoyles were absolutely a response to Ninja Turtles, right? Like, I have a mild obsession with like Ninja Turtles knockoffs. Like I find them so funny. Like the Street Sharks, the Biker Mikes from Mars, the Cowboys of Moo Mesa, Power Pigs from the Ninth Dimension. All this.
I don't know if Gargoyles are a knockoff. I definitely think Gargoyles are more.
They're in the vein, yeah.
They're hidden New York like monster mutants, alternative humans, metahuman type things. But like I think this is something that that I really loved about the movie is that in Gargoyles, they're generally speaking adults.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in this movie and in the TV series, they're teenagers.
They are.
And they act like teenagers.
And that's the great thing. Like this,
I'm gonna throw out. I don't know anything about Gargoyles, but apparently Gargoyles is actually more from Batman because all of the writers of Gargoyles.
I could
came
see
from
that.
Batman.
I could see that absolutely. Yeah, it's a little bit of Batman the animated series too. That's definitely right. But yeah, I mean, this movie just kind of works. Like, I think it strikes the right balance between. Yeah, I was curious about your reaction
how's
to
your
it
reaction
coming into this
to it?
cold.
Because you're not a.
It's definitely got some cheese to it.
Super
Yeah.
home.
It has the amount of cheese that you would expect. Although there is more pizzas than you might expect.
That's where a lot of the cheese comes from.
That is where a lot of cheese comes from. I think it's fun. My only other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles experience that I really have is the 2014 movie.
Oh, the Michael Bay version.
Yes, the Michael Bay one.
Yeah. Will,
because I was having
that's a rough one to sit with.
A very bad day, and I was texting
Because you were watching
my friend.
that?
No, and they're like, "Well, you want to see a movie?" And I'm like, "I'll skip class and go see a movie." And so I skipped, I think, Physics 101 to go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Probably better to see the Physics 101 lecture. Yeah, honestly.
Honestly, I liked my teacher.
Okay.
He was pretty chill.
See, yeah, probably would have been better.
And it was a small class, so we kind of got a lot of like good rapport and learning. I like physics, and so going into this, it was like I've enjoyed the Netflix series of like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and stuff, and so it was like I was familiar with the genre, and obviously like I can't be there's nobody my age that hasn't heard of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Sure.
Even if it wasn't that big of a thing when we were kids, when I was a kid specifically.
Yeah.
I think it was fun. I think that they kind of go through the motions of like it feels like a comic book movie without feeling too much like a comic book movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's definitely a very, very early example of a comic book movie. And I think you can make the argument that this is adapted far more from the comic book than it is from the TV show. Probably also why we don't see any of like the iconic villains that get introduced on the show. So there's no Rocksteady or Bebop or Baxter Stockman.
We haven't talked about
guys.
Danny.
Yeah,
the
you don't
Danny
need
story
Danny.
is kind of.
I never have a problem with Danny. Like
I thought
weirdly,
when
there's
he
some.
stole money from April O'Neil, I was like, "You motherfucking punk!" I was like,
Yeah.
"You steal from strangers. You don't steal from friends." And you're like, "Oh, I was so pissed off at him." He betrayed everyone. He betrayed his dad. He betrayed April. He betrayed the turtles. He betrayed the Foot. He was just like he's such a flip flopper.
He's kind of a weasel. Yeah, and I mean, I think one of the secret strengths of this movie is that the human element is not really neglected here. I think the human characters all kind of pop. Like there's some good naturalistic acting here. Like the character of April O'Neil's boss / Danny's dad, like could have just been a very one note like bureaucrat. You can kind of feel his anguish at like having this kid who's sort of out of control and having this reporter who doesn't listen to him. I don't know. I was finding myself responding pretty well to the human performances in this. Like they are not behaving as if they're just here to be in service of a brand.
Yeah, it's far different from Who Framed Roger Rabbit,
Sure.
where it's like they are. Even the turtles are as much people as the people are.
Yeah.
Like the dynamics between them feel very natural. They act like teenagers. The adults act like adults. There's no like super over the top acting or anything.
Yeah.
They play it pretty well and grounded and have fun when they need to. And I think it's a pretty good balance.
Yeah. No, I just enjoy the hell out of this movie. I think it still just really holds up very well. Like it's not a flawless experience. It's not like one of those things that like I'm not going to make an argument that this is secretly great cinema, but like it's very different from what you would expect.
One
it to be.
thing that I thought was interesting was how there's the like at the beginning, they're like when they first like start learning about April O'Neil, the turtles are like,
Yeah.
oh, she's so cute.
Yeah.
And then once Casey gets in the mix, they kind of shift from like a little bit of competitiveness or like teasing over her
Yeah.
to like being kind of in his corner and like cheering him on.
I'm glad they don't put too fine a point on it of them being in love with her, because like they always have crushes on her, but I think they also all realize that like, yeah, we're 10 years younger than her and turtles. So like, you know, like they acknowledge that it can't really be a thing.
No, I thought that was like, they didn't get like, there was no really weird awkward scenes or anything. Like a lot of times with comic book movies, there are scenes where you're just like unrelated to that previous point of just like, that scene probably didn't really need to be in here. Like the only scenes that didn't really need to be in there is really just the Danny plot.
Yeah, pretty much.
I feel
like
like
I didn't mind the Danny stuff. I don't know.
It didn't take away much. I just feel like it could have added more.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we are running low on battery and running long on time, so we should talk a little bit about the game. And this is where I need to confess a little bit that there is actually no game based on this movie directly. But similar to Lord of the Rings, it felt insane to just omit the first movie. And this movie, I think, is really important to kind of what the series would become. And I think it's also important to introduce the Turtles as a very vital part of video game history, you know? The Turtles the phenomenon was happening around the same time the video game and the video arcade phenomenon was really taking off. And so the two obviously went hand in hand. And so that's a little bit of what we're going to talk about today, is some of the arcade games and some of the video game legacy of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So the one that we played the most was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, which was released originally October 11th, 1989. It's developed and published by Konami and released on arcades, but ported to just about everything. You can definitely find this game if you want to play it.
It's so much fun.
It's a fucking blast. Okay, so the big legacy of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I think, and part of the reason why they've endured, and a lot of the subject that we're going to be covering next week is how surprising it is that like how long this series has endured. We are now 40 years later and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are still relevant, which is wild to me. But we'll be getting into more of that. But I think a lot of the reason that longevity has happened is because they've stayed relevant in video games. And the big reason they've stayed relevant in video games is that the Ninja Turtles kind of perfected the beat 'em up in a large way. Like, this is obviously, this arcade game is building off the framework of like a Double Dragon or a Final Fight or something like that. But there's something about this game that feels so incredibly polished and fun and just intuitive and easy to pick up. Like you said, J-Ban, like we sat down to play it. We were playing it on the recently released Cowabunga collection from Digital Eclipse, which is a bunch of remastered Ninja Turtles games that was released on the PS5 and a bunch of modern consoles. We were playing it on that. It's been beautifully restored. I believe a friend of my former podcast, Dan Amrick, worked on these a little bit. So thank you, Dan. Awesome job. These games look great. They play really well. And you're compiling them all into this really like nice looking collection. So we got to play a little bit of the original arcade version of this. And J-Ben, you were saying the entire time, you're just like, I just want to play this all night.
Yeah,
like,
I love it. I love it so much. It's a co-op beat 'em up arcade. And I'm a sucker for arcade games. I love them so much. Like, as I mentioned previously, one of my favorite games that we've played is the Predator arcade game.
Yeah.
Or
the Aliens one, right?
The Aliens.
Yeah.
Is it the Aliens? Yeah,
the Aliens one is like really good,
arcade game. And it's just like, it's so much fun. Like, it's like a childhood dream being able to have infinite lives on one of these games.
It's one of those things too where like a lot of times this is like an interesting era in gaming where, you know, is post E.T. What year was E.T.?
E.T. was 1982.
Yeah, 82. And so like to have a tie, like a movie, comic book, whatever tie-in, Konami was at the time like the ones, right?
I mean,
the Frogger, Contra,
and then like
they'd already made their name.
2 years after this, they're essentially going to remake this game as The Simpsons, which is one of everybody's like favorite kind of arcade beat 'em up games, you know, which is very much in conversation with this. Castlevania was Konami
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, they did some incredible stuff. I'm bummed that Konami these days mostly just does like slot machines.
They also developed the Aliens one.
Yeah,
They did. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly that. Yeah.
Well, and this is like goes into the rare realm of games that we beat.
Yes. Now,
turns
to be
out-
clear, you can use infinite coins
When you
in this
have an
Cloud Bunker
infinite amount of
collection.
coins and you do not have to stop the game
Yeah.
to put coins in, it goes a lot quicker. Or we're also a lot better.
Well,
I
it's
think there's a
also and
number of
all. I
factors
think
to
also
it,
three of
but-
us playing at the same
Yeah.
time.
Really helps. Really helps. Very nice to do it like when we can find those like all three of us playing at the same time kind of co-op games. That's
Yeah.
been rare for us, and it's always really. I think Scott Pilgrim was probably the last
Yeah.
one that we did. Yeah, it's been a while.
That one, yeah, we had 4.
Yeah, which incidentally, sequel to that coming soon. Pretty excited.
Ooh.
Original
right.
game based on that game. So yeah, very cool. But yeah, I think so. That's the arcade game was kind of the first one to really break out.
We get to play and destroy Rocksteady and Bebop, which
Yeah.
are from the cartoon and from the comic book series, which is
And I
a giant
forget where they
rhino and a
started.
giant boar.
Yeah. Did you know the pneumatic device to remember them? I only learned
didn't
it like
because
way
I didn't
later
need
in
to
life.
know because I can tell
you
two
figured it out.
characters apart.
You
There is
can't
only
always,
two.
you know. Look, they're two similar guys. They are dumb guys who got turned into strong animals.
Yeah,
so it's
but
easy to confuse Rocksteady and Bebop.
Rocksteady
is
is
a
a
rhino.
rhino.
R. Bebop is a boar. B. That's the pneumatic device.
I don't think you need
Lock
a
that in your
pneumatic
brain.
device.
Everybody
for two
lock it in your
characters.
brain. Everybody remember.
Just remember.
Alvin is angry. Simon is smart. Theodore is thick. I just invented that. I don't know. you can
don't
use
know
that.
nothing about the chipmunks. Don't you bring your
I think I just kind of nailed their dynamic. What are you talking about? We will have a Chipmunks episode.
your
We will have a
dirty
Chipmunks
mouth in
mini
here.
series. We're gonna have a Chipmunks mini series where we can debate this.
One
But I think
thing-
I nailed it.
We were obviously playing on a re-release, and
Yeah.
so probably touched up a little bit. I was just looking at screenshots of the original game. Not crazy different. Like it was
No,
honestly
it looks great.
The very vibrant colors, very good details. Just like overall very well designed.
Yeah. This was my Ninja Turtles game growing up because I had the NES version, which was released on that console as Super Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
I feel like
2.
I must have played this.
You
as a
must have
child.
played it as that.
Yeah.
Did you ever play any of the original NES game? For a lot of people, that was their
No.
first one, and that is a very strange, very interesting game. We played a little bit of it.
We were really late to the getting a video game console.
Oh, okay. That's
So like definitely played a lot of older games. So I don't know. But like I just love a co-op game.
Yeah.
I love growing up in a family of 4. You're like
Yeah.
the bullshit 2-player games where you never get to play. I'm still bitter. You
You're-
can hear the
you're-
bitterness in my voice.
You hate little brother mode, basically. Yeah, where they just give you a controller that's not plugged
So
in.
no, the worst part about growing up in a family of 4 with 2-player games is like we basically said whoever won continues to play.
Oh, yeah.
So if you are better at moment 1, you continue to play, and if you're bad forever.
Oh,
and
my
so
God.
this is probably what made me a very literate and smart child, is because I ended up reading books because I would get so mad that I'd be waiting for my turn at like Super Mario Brothers or something, and then I would die not in Super Mario Brothers, but like in especially the combat games, I would die immediately.
Yeah.
And then I wouldn't get to play for another 25 minutes. So I just end up reading Jane Austen.
Yeah. All right, so
think
Ninja
that's where
Turtles
I
are the
got
reason
lucky,
that
yeah.
you've read Jane
What?
I
Austen.
said I think that's where I got lucky because my dad was the only one in the family that was interested in video games.
Yeah.
So it was always just like me and him playing like a racing game or whatever game it would be that way. So we never had
I
any
don't think my
fighting. Or
father
me
ever
and my
played a video
cousin.
game.
Really?
Like,
Yeah,
I don't think so.
my parents have never played a video game. Yeah.
Like I think my mom must play like Candy Crush now, but like I don't
Yeah.
know.
I remember one time my parents had a date night where they put the air mattress in the living room, set up the PlayStation, and just played like Pac-Man and shit, just like all the old arcade games that they used to play. Because they were relatively dorky enough people where they weren't like super big into it, but like if there was an arcade cabinet at like one of the bars that they would go to, they would spend time playing that, and so it was just kind of like reminiscing through their earlier life playing all these games that they used to play. Because we had a couple of like the Namco Museum collections, and so my parents would like play that. I think my mom really just liked Pac-Man mostly, and that was
I
it.
cannot blame her. I'm very excited because there's a new game on Switch 2. I just bought my Switch 2, and there's a game called Shadow Labyrinth, which is dark, gritty Pac-Man.
Okay.
No, tell me, how is it dark and gritty?
It's like a
Pac-Man?
Metroidvania set in like a post-apocalyptic future world where like that's Pac-Man somehow. I'm excited to see what that
Okay,
means.
you're gonna have
What's
to
it
show us
called?
what you're
It's called
talking about.
Shadow Labyrinth. I don't know if it's good. I can't endorse it in any way, but I'm going to play it pretty soon. So
Okay.
we'll give it a shot. But yeah, this is the animation.
Bandai Namco.
The animation on this thing is gorgeous. Like it's so fun. Like seeing the little cartoon bubbles. Like
The
it's definitely
turtles
like
look
very.
great.
It's very.
April O'Neil looks
Oh,
great.
she looks so good. She always looks
Yeah.
good. It's
The
very
yellow
anime influenced.
jumpsuit. I would kill to get a yellow jumpsuit.
April O'Neil was a lab assistant in the comic books,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad that they made the transition of her being a reporter and giving her the yellow jumpsuit. Like, that's such a look. It's so cool.
It's also such a comic book move.
It's such a comic book move. Yeah, yellow jumpsuit, like it just kind of this
Well,
cool, like
also,
what do you call that haircut? Like a shag bob.
Shag bob,
It's
yeah.
like, she looks great.
There's got to be a
Pixie
reporter.
cut. I would say a shag pixie cut.
I don't think it's quite a pixie, right? A pixie's above the ears, isn't it? Am I crazy?
No.
Okay.
I don't know, hair.
Yeah, yeah.
Great haircut.
Great haircut. She's
but
a babe.
she is a babe. But I think it's really she gets kidnapped, obviously, and also Splinter gets kidnapped, which as happens in the movie, which you didn't talk much about, because I feel like one of the things about the movie that really helps ground the movie, because the turtles can get a little like teenagery and little like catchphrasey, but
Yeah.
not as much as the sequels.
Yeah.
But having that heart of Splinter being all like, getting Splinter, and then Raphael like almost being put in a coma, like it definitely it gave the movie stakes.
And they're family at the core. That's the
Yeah.
important thing too. This is a family.
Whoa, hold
they are
on.
not maybe biologically related, but they are 100% brothers. They are a family.
This is starting to sound like another series of things.
It's all about they sit around drinking Coronas
Fast
in
and
the
the
sewer.
Furious Ninja Turtles.
Hey, I would absolutely watch that. I think that sounds like a great translation.
We were playing trivia earlier this week, and they were like, what has more sequels, Land Before Time or Fast and the Furious?
We got that one right. It's Land Before Time. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Land
It's
Before
14.
Time has 14.
Yeah.
I remember Ailish had talked about it like at some point, I think around the podcast, if not in the podcast.
Yeah.
And so when Ailish was like, there's 14, I'm like, I know there's 14. I know how many Fast and Furious movies there are.
Yeah, I know that there's 11 Fast and Furious movies,
Yes.
like including Hobbs and Shaw. So
Yeah.
obviously, yeah. I would say just the Turtles beat 'em up game, I think, was so influential just to license games in general, because I think there's a long stretch of here where if you want to adapt a comic book, a movie, a cartoon show, you're going to go with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles format. You are going to do a side-scrolling beat 'em up that has accurate graphics to the graphic novel or the TV show or the movie that you're depicting, and it just adds like a little bit extra flair than what you might see in like a basic ass platformer.
Yeah, well, and
so like we're gonna see this over and over. I think the Ninja Turtles franchise probably gets perfected a couple years after this with Turtles in Time, which is the first Super Nintendo game. Kind of the perfection of this formula, but like we said, we covered Scott Pilgrim versus the World a few months ago now, and that is a game that is 1,000% indebted to this game. You know, that it is the evolution. It is kind of the modern version of what this game is setting out.
It is what I always think about when I think about beat 'em up games.
Yeah.
Is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of for a lot of people, like Double Dragon might have been the first, but I think this is the one that people are going to go back to the most.
and they have a lot of enemies, so there's and they have like
Great
lots
stable.
of bosses, and they also have a great variety of like different types of ninja, as well as different types of robots that you fight, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's a blast. And I was never as crazy about the NES version, which we played a little bit of. It's mostly a side-scrolling beat 'em up, but sometimes you'll go into like this overworld map. It's a game that is infamous for its difficulty level.
It's so difficult,
especially when you get to like the dam level, because you need to swim through like these electric like algae or something. It's like electric kelp that's always going to damage you. You have to swim around underwater for a long time defusing all these bombs, and it's like almost impossible unless you're like completely precise with it. And then the game is kind of broken in a sense where you just need to play as Donatello. Like Donatello, far and away, has the best weapon in the game.
I tried to play as Raphael in that, and it was horrible. And
he's got no range.
Yeah.
If you're Donatello, you can just kind of perch on corners and press down B and just like attack the shit out of anybody below you. Like it's pretty easy to spam the game if you just play as Donatello.
But the other game that we did play, I got to play as Raphael, and I got to kick ass. He had like a couple of different action moves.
Yeah.
And each turtle had different action moves, and it was just really fun.
It's a blast. It's still a blast. Yeah. We played through the whole thing in like an hour.
But we play so many games that have been phoned in, and this one feels like it's actually been lovingly made.
It absolutely does. Yeah. It feels it's made with some energy and with some heart and with a little attention to detail, which I really love.
Yeah.
Which is why it was important, I thought, to include it, because like even though this is not based on the movie, it actually predates the movie. I think these are all one and part of a piece, and it's going to help explain. Like, also, it just feels weird to jump into a Ninja Turtles story and talk about just the next movie we're going to be talking about, which I'll introduce in a second. But first, we should talk about our rankings for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. Is this a good movie, good game, a bad movie, bad game, or some mixture in between? Justin, why don't you kick us off? You're the newbie on these franchises.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. Sorry, I have a yawn coming.
Oh my God. If it's such a good movie, you would never need to yawn. Never once would air need to pass your lungs.
I think it would always have to pass my lungs.
Never
That's how lungs
once.
work.
If you were a real turtle fan, you wouldn't breathe.
Oh, okay. Turtles breathe too.
Touche.
Yeah, I thought it was a good movie. And then, though I am not a fan of beat 'em ups, it's just not quite my thing, I still thought it was a fun game. It was a good game.
Yeah, we all played through all the way through. Yeah.
It felt good. Felt very smooth.
Yeah.
Felt very tight. Exactly what you want in a beat 'em up. So yeah.
J-Ben, where are you landing?
So I'm going to say this is a great movie, but I am going to recognize that there's a lot of nostalgia glasses being like, but I still watched it and I still had a great time. I really love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I love them so much. And
well, you're in luck.
It's so much fun. And this movie, I'm worried about the other properties because like I feel like this movie really nails it. And then I think the game is absolutely spectacular. It's so much fun. It's exactly what I want to do. Play an arcade game and beat the hell out of things with infinite lives.
Yeah.
If you haven't played this game, go download it and play
very
it.
findable.
And it's very findable. You'll beat it in like an hour, and you'll just be like, I
think Steve said it was on Game Pass.
Yeah, I got the whole Cowabunga collection on Game Pass and on Xbox or on PS5, whatever you call their subscription service. Yeah. So, I'm right with you. I every couple of years I revisit this movie, and I'm just always pleasantly surprised that it's continued to kind of grow and age pretty well. It's absolutely a time capsule, and it's definitely like tinted by nostalgia glasses, but I also think this movie kind of holds up on its own. It's got some cheesy bits, it's got some stuff like, and like I said, I'm never going to argue it's like high art or anything like that, but it is extremely effective at what it is trying to do, and it's super fun, and I think it nails the balance better than any of the sequels really do. And this game is an absolute stone cold classic. I mean, this is I think this is probably a contender for like Video Game Hall of Fame. I think this is going to be a very important arcade game, like for posterity, I think, to look back on, because not only for its like continued popularity, but for how much it influenced. Like, it's very important, which is why I wanted to break format of our show just a little bit to talk about it. Yeah,
I wish that was a thing that was tracked in terms of like sales.
Yeah,
like earnings.
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. But we're going to dig a little bit more into sales and earnings and legacy next week, because we are jumping ahead a whopping 17 years to talk about a 2007 animated film that's simply called TMNT. And contrary to popular belief, this is not a reboot. This is actually the fourth sequel to the movie that we are or the third sequel to the movie we watched today. So it is part of the same continuity. And we're going to have a lot to say about like where the Turtles kind of were around the mid-2000s and the surprising legacy that this series has carved out. It's something that continues to surprise me in a pleasant way, I think, that Turtles are still around.
I hope there's some bangers in the soundtrack.
Oh, there's absolutely probably not. I remember nothing about the soundtrack of this movie. But we will find out. So join us next week as our Turtles retrospective continues. We have 2 more episodes. Next week it is going to be TMNT. The week after that will be the 2023 film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, which seems to be reviving the franchise yet again for a whole new generation. We will talk about it as we go on. But for next week, we'll see you for 2007's TMNT. Cowabunga, dudes.